Hi guys, Flav from the Blockchain Game Alliance. Happy to see you today for a kind of a different way to have a conversation. If you know me a bit, we usually have these panel discussions with people, and we try to have a kind of structure as well, kind of structuring the conversation. But as you may have seen in our different announcements, we really want to work on something you may already know. You are maybe an expert, or you don't know anything, but you see so many news happening in the space, which is stablecoins. And this is an interesting topic, and it's not just about what's happening in the US. Obviously, compliance is playing a big role, and the Genius Act also play a big role in terms of adoption of stablecoins. But we do see the value of stablecoins as a technology. And again, it's not saying that everything else is wrong. It's to say that this is happening. And I do believe that our members in the BGA can talk about that. So we're working on something in the background. But today, as I said, it's going to be a little bit different. It's an open mic for all of our members to be involved in that conversation, try to explain the kind of views they have, opinions they have, expertise they have on the subject. It's going to help me specifically to work on the report, to maybe adjust a bit the structure I'm going to present maybe this week in different videos. But yeah, it's going to be a casual conversation. See that maybe going to the pub and talking about this topic all together. So I'm going to bring the guys, and we're going to talk about that, obviously, having the opportunity to know them a little bit. And let's go. So let me bring everyone. Here you go. Hey, guys. Hope you're doing well. Happy to see you. Happy to have you with us. Let me change. Let me see if it's actually better if I just remove. Let me work on this. I'm still trying to be good at these things, but this is better. All right, so super happy to see you guys. As I said, we're gonna have people joining if they want to give their take, but I'm happy to have at least these 5 wonderful guys to talk about that topic. I mean, I think the good thing to start with will be for you to, we have 1 hour, so it's not, and I really want to value your time as well. So if you maybe can introduce yourself very, very quickly, and maybe, stablecoins, what kind of definition you could give to the stablecoins on your side, maybe based on what you're doing and what you try to achieve, it would be awesome. So if I have to pick the first one to talk, I would say Phil, not just because you have a mutant behind you, but maybe because you are the first. So yeah, Phil, if you can introduce yourself very quickly, and stablecoins, what does it mean for you?
Thank you, Flav. Thanks for having us back on. So hello to everyone who's watching. Phil Watkins, founder of Ovi.live. We are in live streaming infrastructure. So think a combination of Twitch, Zoom, and Restream.io all wrapped up into one. So when I consider stablecoins, obviously I'm thinking about a digital version of a local currency. So be that the US dollar, the AUD, the euro, the GBP. But really what excites me about stablecoins is the ability to bring fiat and the monetary system on chain and do it in a very seamless way. And that's something which I'm looking forward to unpacking with this group tonight, where the gaming context is concerned, because I think there's a lot of room to grow and a lot of room that stablecoins can add value into the gaming industry.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. Already writing down a few things and a few topics we could talk about based on what you just said. So thanks for coming and give your expertise on that point. Reiko, what about you?
Hey everyone, thanks Flav for inviting and organizing. So I'm Reiko, I'm the founder of Kalea. We specialize in mechanism and tokenomics design, stress testing. We do this from data-driven perspective with our own software. So we replicate protocols and then run simulations to break them. And today we're applying this to a lot of different projects, not only in gaming, but across the whole spectrum of sectors. And for us, the core thing with stablecoins, there's 2 points. First of all, the human need of pegging things to one, just having a value of reference. Second, the way that charging, for instance, certain fees in stablecoins instead of your native token, or using it for certain dynamics can have a positive or a negative impact on the treasury and liquidity building of the project. So that's our core focus normally when we start interacting with them.
Trying to keep up with all the ideas you already have for further questions. Awesome, thanks. Danny, what about you? Good to see you. Good to see your hat.
Hi everyone. Really, yeah, really excited to join this panel. Thank you, Flav, for the opportunity. I'm Danny. I'm the co-founder of WAM, and since 2021, our purpose has been to rethink how people play in Web3. I've been in games since 2007. Went past the Flash and HTML5 technology progressions, and when Web3 came along, we saw the bigger opportunity in building a platform where people play like we want to play. So this is the main thesis. It's not like, okay, we love technology, we want to evolve on it, and we want to make it really, really cool, but at the end of the day, I just want to enjoy it playing on my own platform because I'm tired of doing it on other platforms. So yeah, regarding today's topic, it's been 3 years since we've experimented with a lot of ideas on WAM, and it's clear that stablecoins have a purpose and have a place in games, and they're actually required in order to make the economy work. And we'll touch base on this on that during our conversation. So I'll let everyone introduce themselves.
Love it. Thank you, Danny. Anton, what about you? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you again. Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for organizing the session. So basically, yeah, I'm a founder of Galaxy for Games. We build games, and so we build different games with blockchain technology, starting from Telegram games and it comes to even MMORPG. So we have Skywars game. It's a MMORPG for mobiles, and now we are considering the stablecoin as a part of our economy system. So basically, for us, it's a bridge. It's a gate to onboard Web3 players to traditional gaming. In terms of, we don't want to, we just want to balance our game design and economy, segmentation, monetization, and everything together. So for us, stablecoins is something really useful because we just want to to onboard people with clear understanding of what they can get in the game and what can they start from. So that's really initial point to to manage everything in terms of user acquisition, marketing, in-game segmentation, payment system, and everything.
Love it. Sandro, last but not least.
Hello everyone. Nice crew here. I'm Sandro from The Last Monarchy. The Last Monarchy, it's a ultimate strategy game. We've been building this for the past 2 years. There is a 5th public testing ongoing at the moment. Speaking about coins, tokens in The Last Monarchy, that's going to be implemented when we launch the final version of the game. So we are still testing, yeah, convince me that that's a good thing. Let's speak about it.
Love it. Okay, Yasmina, good to see you. We were about to, like, everyone just introduce themselves, and the first question I had for everyone was, okay, we're talking about stablecoins. We're gonna kind of try to structure a little bit our thoughts based on what we believe is good. When we talk about stablecoins. So question for you, if you can just briefly introduce yourself, but also after that say, what do you have in mind when we talk about stablecoins? And we're going to jump in the kind of questions I could ask everyone based on what you said.
Thanks for having me, and sorry, Joe, for being late. I'm currently traveling, so you can see that time zone is a total mess. But to go back to the stablecoin, from my perspective, I think that the future is in stablecoin for many reasons that we can talk about later. But I think that is kind of, I see it as a unifier rather than a distraction. So this is the role that a stablecoin should play, will play in the industry. And I think that's what probably will give us also a more positive PR and marketing in terms of trust and credibility. So that's kind of like in a nutshell. But we can kind of discuss all these points during this call for the next 60 minutes.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. And as I said, like for the BGA members who maybe watch that, you have the link to be a part of the conversation. So anytime, please jump on it. I see Jay from Plexus. I don't know if you want to join the conversation because I don't see the devices connecting. But anyone in the BGA, if you want to just join us and talk about that, you're welcome. But also, guys, like I think we are on LinkedIn, we are on X, we are on YouTube Live. If you have any questions in the audience, you just ask. I think we have 6 wonderful people who are working on that specifically. So if you have any questions for them, you let me know, and I'm going to address those questions to them. But first, I'm happy because I've worked on the structure of the report, and it feels like you crossed a few things we're going to talk about, and I have in our in the structure, which is good, which make me feel like I'm in a good direction. So I love it. And I think what we can talk about first is, it seems like stablecoins are interesting because they kind of try to disrupt the way game companies handle fiat payments into their game. Like it's wonderful to rely on these kind of traditional finance systems, and let everyone play the game, but pay any items within the game, exchange value within the game, and we see so many monetization system within games using fiat. It feels like stablecoins can be the solution to make things easier. Like there are so many hustle in the space when we actually have game developers using fiat. And one example could be Apple and the 30% tax when you actually release a mobile game with their own financial worldwide. So on that point, if I have the question for all of you, do you feel like it's actually a solution to just change and disrupt a little bit the way game companies can handle fiat payment and rely on the most robust, I would say, technology with stablecoins? With it's faster, it's easier. You don't rely on banks so much. Who would like to talk about it? I know that if I have these, I know that Phil, you talk about that. I know that. Anton, you talk about that too. Danny a little bit as well. So I don't know if I have anyone who would like to jump on this.
Yeah, I'll jump on and go first. I think it's a really, really valid critical point to stablecoins. It's obviously the onboarding and the tokenization of fiat currency, which then lends to the accessibility of the platform, the stability of the economics behind the business as well. So if Vlad, you very rightly touched on a few different mechanisms there. I very much liken it to, if I'm talking to a Web2 gamer, V-Bucks, for instance, being able to pay for V-Bucks. Everyone's familiar with Fortnite, but now all of a sudden, what happens to that currency in the background? What happens to, the ability of that in-game credited item, basically? So it's not only does it provide stability within the game, it also provides alternate access, smart access to new solutions. So what I mean by this is the ability to fragment and essentially break down the stable coin, have those automatically go via smart wallets into treasury wallets, into audience reward mechanisms, into whatever pot you choose, but then obviously calculating up the business tokenomics, the longevity of it, opening up new user base experiences, functions, and features. That is what stablecoins really truly open up the ability for businesses to access new features like DeFi solutions, or to give that additional utility reward system back to their user base. So when I really truly think about the power of stablecoins, it's not just about the in-game mechanisms of purchasing, selling, tokenization of assets. It's actually about how we're able to encompass broader decentralized solutions to add value into our business mechanisms, which then obviously brings the sustainability, it brings the rewards, and it brings that flywheel effect of retention and obviously value. So yeah, I'll just start there.
I love it. I know that's something I wanted to touch on as well, based on what Reiko said, that value of reference. I think it's also tied to, opening new gate in terms of monetization system, kind of any type of other game system you could put in place using stablecoins. So I know that I'm going to come back on that point with you, Reiko, on that. And I see questions on the chat, and I already know who will be the best to answer that question. So we're going to come to this after, but maybe coming back to, I feel like you building this streaming platform. Do you feel like, in terms of, based on what you're building and what you see in the ecosystem, with the ability for streamers to be paid for what they do, but also to be rewarded with the kind of experience they make their user live, like I'm playing an FPS and there are so many opportunities to support me while I'm actually playing. So there are some monetization possibility already in the streaming universe and esports as a whole. Do you see stablecoins having a role in that too?
Or without a doubt, 100%. So if we look at some of our competitors in the market, and these are the bigger players that we're all familiar of, Twitch, Kick, those types of players. Twitch holds on to a streamer's revenue for 30 days. It pays out to the streamers once per month, because it takes that amount of money, it puts it into a high interest account of 4-5% to try and obviously make the difference on the back end. Whereas where stablecoins allows us to go is obviously, as the previously mentioned, DeFi value mechanisms, or those kind of value streams can come into the product. But it also enables us for instant settlement, which is huge. Obviously, through those increased revenue streams, if you have the technology supporting your product, or if you have the product supporting your business with the revenue streams, then obviously we're able to do the instant settlements, provide greater revenue share, and essentially provide that value back to the users, and which is what it's all about. So it's about democratizing step by step the existing Web2 nature of big tech and big user base platforms, and obviously putting the value back to where it needs to be, in my opinion. And stablecoins is a huge lever to achieving that.
All right, so I see 3 topics, and anyone can jump on these 3 topics. So we talk about, as I said, like, should we say that stablecoins is actually making things easier for game developers when they want to add payment solution within their games? So anyone who would like to jump on that, let me know too. We have another point related to accessibility to other DeFi solutions, or any kind of mechanisms you would like to introduce using stablecoins. And the other thing, and you said it, Phil, on your side too, it's, and not only you, and I noted that too, it's onboarding. It makes things easier, and I think, Anton, you said it yourself, it makes things easier to onboard new users into these kind of new mechanism you're building within the game. So as I said, no structure. It was the purpose of this chat, but anyone would like to bounce off?
I'll jump into the DeFi part. So
Please.
I agree 100% with Phil that it opens a lot of doors that traditional institutions right now take a long time, and just having this time advantage already gives an edge, obviously a return on the technology and the investment. So I do think it makes a lot of sense because of that. So having mechanisms integrated into your business model that can very quickly link, as Phil was saying, Twitch takes 30 days. That could be done instantly, or even if you're holding still for 30 days for XYZ reason, you could still put it into Aave and compound those interests for the people and generate more revenue for the individual and the business itself. So that is very interesting. Then what I would like to launch to all the game CEOs here and founders is the tech complexity of integrating all of this, because we're all in Web3. But then if we think of an Activision or Riot Games in one of these large gaming companies, how complex is it for them to move? Ignoring the regulatory, because if we go into that, I think we can have another session for a couple of days. But how complex is it for them then to change their current payment mechanisms and start integrating this? Because at the end of the day, the big question is, how can we also start helping large institutions onboard into Web3, right? and that just start attracting all those Web2 users and interact with all of this, which also links to the easiness of onboarding.
Yeah, go, Danny.
Thank you guys for the angles. I have a bit of a different angle that I want to share. So first thing, if we just have stablecoins, it's like having credit cards, which makes no difference in terms of easiness of onboarding users. Is the same like having any other token. The difference is the value is not volatile as tokens. Okay, so this in terms of how easy it is for Web3 users, it's the same as using any type of token, but I'll get to the advantages where we definitely see eye to eye. The second thing is about what Reiko said. There's one thing, after 3 years of, actually 4 years, I'm no longer thinking in terms of mass adoption, and especially for Web2 users, for the following reason. It's pretty hard to explain or to show benefits to a group of individuals that is currently not interested in the benefits that the entire ecosystem presents itself. Hence, a lot of gaming companies and projects had a hard time sustaining their token and getting token demand, because the Web2 people don't necessarily care about what happens with a specific token. Now, where the advantage comes, the advantage that the stablecoin and the token comes in. You have the stablecoin that facilitates participation from anywhere in the world with any type of asset. You pick the chain, and Web3 people already move around. And there's the token that, if it's a singular token, it will not work in a game economy. It literally does not work, because the volatile nature of a token makes the user behavior be very reluctant in actually using it when it comes to their purchases and whatnot. Combining the two, however, I see a very beautiful symbiosis where, for instance, just throwing it out there, you're not holding, for instance, stablecoin to get APY, right? You're holding, for instance, the WAM token, and on the back end, like Phil said, we're doing Web3 protocols to get yield. And because you hold the token, you get some stables as a reward, not necessarily the WAM token, because you're going to dump it as soon as it comes out. So this is a more circular type of always inflow, less outflow of tokens. This is what I see in how we should evolve and actually focus on people that understand this. And when they do, they will become the evangelists for the other people. Like, hey, you're playing a stupid game that brings you no benefits. What about checking this out? You're playing and you get value and the token doesn't drop, and you also get some rewards in a stable coin that you can also use right now in an ever-growing universe of crypto, right? So this is my take on what has just been said.
I agree fully with the first part, that people don't care about the technology, just about the solutions. But this is true for any technology worldwide. I mean, 90% of internet users don't know what www stands for. So I think it's a very blockchain crypto thing when you spend a lot of time trying to explain to the people the technology, and the reality is that they just don't care. And then the day of tomorrow, their bank will be doing everything through blockchain, and no one will bat an eye, and they just won't care, right? It's just more efficient suddenly. It'll probably still cost the same, but the margins will go up. So I agree on that part 100%.
I think I'm going to come and agree on what it was said, and add to this that yes, the technology is what we are building, and the end users, your mothers, your kids, do not care. But at the same time, we need to find the evangelist, as Danny said, and that's what we need to do. And the evangelists and the ambassadors need to understand at least the minimum out of it, because obviously you can say 7 billion of people on the planet do not care, of course, but we need 100 million to at least be the first ambassadors and understand about it, because the guys who built up the www internet, right, the evangelists beyond it, they were fighting for all this kind of scalability of information across the globe and so on. Still working on it. We don't care how it works, but they were the one who embedded this. And I will tell you why it's important to have this evangelist based on what Danny said. Is we need people to understand it, to kind of take it into their company and fight for it on our behalf. Because we are not here to fight and go, for example, let's say to find traditional financial bank or go to government or brand. They have to be working there. And that's what we're doing, for example, with Flavien, is that part of what we're doing in terms of soft power is we go and discover the people within this company, this institution, and we kind of talk to them, explain to them, and they kind of understand it. So we articulate it in a way they understand it and the benefit for their own company, because they don't care about the rest. They only care about their own interests. And they start like fighting and being the ambassador within their own ecosystem. That's how you convince, like, let's say the gaming, fund of Abu Dhabi to say, okay, this is what we're going to use. We're going to use like, a stable coin that is backed by dirham. So then all the reward of the gamers within the region can be kind of used later on in, in loyalty and retention, because that makes sense to the guys, right? And I'm not going to go and fight for that. So this is kind of maybe the mindset shift that we need to kind of take and go and look for these people to go and talk with them and spend the time, because otherwise, and this is kind of like the good PR that we're bringing, because then with the stable coin versus the fiat, when people talk about them, I'm like, the stable coin is not here to fight or to kind of versus the fiat. For me, it's an enhancement. Fiat is good, but the stablecoin is much better. So again, think of it as like the first steps of internet. And what we're having today is like, it's like the day and the night, but we had to start somewhere. So this is maybe the narrative that we should all be supporting. At least that's kind of like what we are thinking here. And I don't know how to kind of argue or convince around it.
Can I just step in? Sorry.
Yes. No, I was about to introduce yourself. So yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay, I'll just do a brief intro. I'm Fred from Funfair. We are a very kind of old blockchain development company turned VC. We've been investing in early stage projects for the last 4 years in blockchain. We're also very experienced in blockchain development and managing live products. But I kind of focus in the gaming space. Just to kind of, when I saw you guys talking, I said to Flavien, well, let me come in and just wreck a little bit the space in the conversation. I think we need to split this in a couple of areas. And I think I've been saying this for 3-4 years about the gaming space. We're trying to shove financial incentives into the gaming space and finding out that a lot of the players don't care about that kind of incentive. They're not there for the financial incentive, as people are in crypto and trading tokens and all that stuff. That's part one. I think part two, we're mixing a little bit, that has happened in the last 3 years, the concept of raising cash for tokens with having tokens in game. That has been a substantial issue that has caused a lot of the companies struggling. I think it was Danny that you mentioned that, well, a lot of the companies went bust. Yeah, sure. They weren't actually focusing on building a game only. They had not only the game, but the token, the community, and all that stuff. So that's the problem. I think having stable coins actually might solve one of the issues, which is actually now you're raising capital in traditional ways or other ways, but that doesn't really relate to what you're building as a game, which also solves a lot of the problems with the tokenomics and the logic of using the tokens in games and ensuring that the currency gets stable, correct? To Yasmin's point about, kind of pushing people to change mindset. I'm not sure if all of a sudden, this new concept of Web3 games, which I'm not really a big fan of, needs to mean that we need to change gamers' mindset. I think what we need to do is find value out of what the blockchain technology brings without needing to surface that to the user and providing a way for them to enjoy the games. That's fundamental. And until we do so, I think we're going to struggle. A little bit opposite to what Danny says, I don't believe that the Web3 space is big enough for games to be successful. There's not enough gamers there to generate enough revenue for a big chunk of the gaming projects out there. And I think it shouldn't be that hard to make new mechanics that work without actually having to get involved in a token fluctuating price. So sorry for the long rant. That's kind of me.
It was perfect. Love it. Thanks, Fred. Sandro, Anton, what is your
Yeah.
take, your initial thought, or maybe how you would like to bounce on the conversation?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a hard question actually. I just want to split the question of stablecoins into two directions. The first one is initial payment system for user, and the second one is the gameplay, more related to product, right? Because we have three payment methods to convert actual player right into the game. So the first one it's a traditional one, like on mobile platforms, like when you pay commissions to stores and everything. The second one, a lot of companies have been building it since the last legal case with Epic. They just develop their own payment system on a separate service with additional payment options. I don't know, like Stripe, using some Stripe or other payment system, and also they implemented stablecoins right now in it. And the third way is, of course, stablecoins. You just avoid every commission because, for instance, as I mentioned before, we built a MMORPG and we built Telegram games as well. We just try to research this market, and we understand that, for example, if you have a competitive game, I think stablecoins are really good for competitive game because we can just manipulate with stablecoins a lot, just wage and then withdraw tokens as stablecoins without any overpricing tokens and everything, without playing with the price. So for us, for instance, if you can utilize stars to pay in Telegram application, we pay commission to Telegram and we pay commission to stores, because stores actually they hold these applications in their store, and they just charge Telegram for every operation within the game actually. But if you use blockchain, you avoid everything, avoid this commission, and you can operate with this directly. And now for us, it's pretty crucial. We have a competitive game in Telegram. You can just buy in-game currency with Solana, using Solana, or I don't know, you can use stablecoin as well. But if you win some in-game currency, you can withdraw it directly without avoiding any commissions and everything. So, and also we're trying to build the same situation in our Skywars MMORPG game. And actually, what Fred and Yamina said, we just need to incentivize players within the game. We just need to show them the way how they can use the technology to get some additional income or something. We don't need to to push them to shift only in the direction of stablecoins. So that's why in Skywars we just build a game for traditional gamers, and also we want to incentivize them with rewarding them based on their position in leaderboards, in clan boards and everything, and they can earn this in-game currency and they can withdraw it as stablecoin. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, love it on that point. I mean, you mentioned something which is we're going to take some time to talk about that. It's part of the structure we're going to have in the report, which is try to compare the kind of fiat rails we have already and the hustle of having to deal with the kind of cuts coming from the big dogs. And that's interesting take you said, because I've seen so many D2C, so direct to consumer platform thriving in the ecosystem just after the lawsuits of Apple and Epic Games, and I never understood why no one was actually touching on stablecoins, because it makes so much sense. But you're saying that actually more and more people are actually investigating this kind of payment solution, which is very interesting to know. Sandro, on your side, last monarchy, how do you envision, or do you envision stablecoins on your side, or what kind of topics you would like to talk about regarding these?
Definitely as a payment, like an in-game payment, there is a value there as any other currency, of course. It's a stream, and not having it in the game, it's just been silly. Is the thing how implement if you have in plan a native utility token for any reason, how to implement the stable token on top of this. Also, if you have in your I would like to hear what happens if an investment comes in that it's linked to a native utility token instead. How are we gonna implement the stable token without the native utility token? And what are the benefits of not having a native utility token in this Web3 space where everyone mostly are focused, like call them Web3 degens, but that's how it works. So they're here for flipping and this and that. I am building a video game, first of all, and the token, it's not even in plan, because that's a different strategy that we are taking. But at some point, the decision will be on the table. And I would like to hear what from your experience or from your like, what was the best approach here for studio that it's still in a building phase, but we are very, very close to do this step, to advise us on how I don't know if you understood my whole question. Yeah.
I was pretty sure Reiko wanted to bounce on this.
Yeah, I'll jump in on this. So there's two parts to it. So first of all, I mean, if you close with a VC on a SAFT, so a simple agreement for future tokens on your native token, then you have to launch a token. They're not going to invest in a token then when you're then going to use a USDC. So that's just simple agreement. But then here there's two parts to it. Okay, so the only purpose to have a token, and I know Phil has heard me say this of Flav multiple times, but is to incentivize or disincentivize desired or undesired user behaviors. Okay? So that's the real reason to have a token. Then the rest are byproducts of this attempt. Then it can be more or less aligned with the business, and then obviously that has a lot of repercussions. But the idea of having a token is the incentivization of behaviors, right? So as a gaming studio, I guess the number one metric that you want and you look for is more hours played in average throughout all the users, right? So you either get more users and they play the same hours, or you get the existing users to play more hours, because that's the number one metric that you want. So having a token then can be used to incentivize this in 100 million different ways, and you can get as creative as you want. But then using a stable coin then just reduces that volatility from the business side of things as well. So if you're, instead of charging certain fees for, let's say, a skin or something in your token, and then you're selling that to the market yourself, theoretically net pressure is zero, as they have bought in it theoretically for the market, and then you're selling it. But it does have an impact, obviously. So if you charge that in stable coins and then you use a part of those stable coins for other parts of the business, let it be for more marketing or some new campaigns or even a buyback and burn mechanism, then you're introducing both sides of the coin, and then you have one that is taking care of your business, ensuring the business is working, and one that's ensuring that the users and the players are incentivized to behave in that way that you want. That's our take from here, but I'd love to hear what the rest of you guys think.
Fred, would you like to jump on it?
Sorry, can I just add some? There was a comment made at the beginning when I started watching, and there's been a couple of comments regarding the app stores and in-app purchases and the 30%. Just to be clear, those 30% still apply to any purchase done inside the Apple ecosystem inside the game, correct? So building whatever payment system needs to be off game, off platform. And I'm not sure how, just, it's not that being stable coins or whatever token makes it cheaper, because it all needs to be outside of the platform, correct? And you can, if you're building outside, you can build with Stripe. And I think it was a comment made by Reiko about the complexity of building these things, correct? Building it with Stripe, for example, for cash payments or card payments or whatever, is probably as complex for someone that has experience in building Web3 products as building a stablecoin payment, correct? So I wouldn't put that as a major thing, because it isn't. I think and again, I think to Sandro's question, a little bit to Sandro's question is, or to his comments, sure, you can add stable coins to it, correct? But if it is not fundamentally built into the game, and if it's not built as, I'm not using a token, I'm not having to deal with all the kind of fluctuations of the price, the value added is just basically another means of payment, correct? And again, like some people have said, that just only facilitates those that are already in the Web3 space. It doesn't really bring a lot of value to those that aren't in the Web3 space. And I think my point, and what I think this is more a message to the Web3 game founders and builders, is the advantage of stable coins more, from my point of view, come more to you than to the user in first case. Because again, it also forces you to get out of the mindset, I'm going to raise with a token, I'm having to deal with the community, I'm having to deal with price fluctuations. More than anything else, I think that's a fundamental of it, correct? To the added value, and I think, I don't know, Royko might be a better person to talk about this. Stable coins have a massive yield compared to fiat, and to tokens. You launch a token, you get no yield on your token, correct? Like you're paying the market maker, paying all this, seeing your price crashing. From a standpoint of the development game studio, how many people actually looked at this as actually leveraging the yield from the stable coins that you hold because people bought stuff to actually, solidify your revenue, but also give something back to the users, correct? Those are massive things that I'm not sure how many people are looking into it that actually are quite interesting. And maybe this helps a little bit, Sandra, in terms of what he's thinking about with stable coins.
Anyone would like to?
100%.
Yeah,
no, 100%. I think that to answer, your question, Sandro, I think you have to look at the utility of your token, because again, everybody's raising, and I think that we've done a session run few years. Was it at NFT Paris that you did it, Flavien? When we had this open talk about the token?
That's a good question. We did so many things, but at least one of them for sure.
Yes. So that's kind of like, we had people asking, do we need to raise a token or to kind of like, get the money and make it like as a payment, but also benefit the users? And most of the time, 99% of the time, the founders are not looking at what benefit them, but what kind of like, what will benefit like the users to stay in your ecosystem. You look at what will be the easiest way to raise money. And that's the wrong thing to do. I'm not saying, it should not be applied, but be very careful, because you're building a game. You're not building something else. So the games has to be interesting for the user to jump into it. How many of us in this room played a game because we liked it, because we spend hours, because we enjoy, spending time there, not because of the benefit of it? I think with that, we need to go back centrically to what do we want to make people feel in terms of when they use our product, because a game is an entertainment product. So that's kind of maybe the first question to ask. And as Fred said, 100%, you need to see it as just the stablecoin needs to be an additional way of payment rather than adding too much workload to yourself and your team in the overall, project, if that makes sense. So try to be very lean and very focused and streamline the necessities in the project itself by really distinguishing what is needed, what is just like a feature that I could work later on with. So that's kind of maybe my addition to that.
So it's gonna be a report. So it's not gonna be who is fighting what kind of belief and everything. Is to say, well, okay, this is what we could say about stablecoins as a whole, and either you want to touch on that or you want to touch on that. But I do think that anyone should actually benefit from what we just said. Not me, but Fred and the others, because I love that. Like when you say the stablecoin is actually helping you as a founder rather than the user, that's a take for sure. But that's also very true, because that's something we're going to try to touch on in the report, like the yield generator you just mentioned, Fred. No one is actually talking about that, but as a company, that's super beneficial. So we're going to try to touch on the people who can help us on that, which might come from the the kind of stablecoin issuers maybe, but that's a very interesting topic to say, is the stablecoin helpful for you as an entrepreneur in the space or for the user? Because I know that some of you talk about the user first and the kind of mechanic you want to introduce. So there is two takes. So I love that. 10 minutes. So I want to value the one question we had. And if we have two questions, but at least one question I want to address. Danny, I feel like you will be good to answer that question, but obviously if you don't, or if anyone would like to touch on this, let me know. But this is the question we had from Tanmaya Sharma. The bigger question is stablecoins vs native utility tokens. Should funders use third-party issued stablecoins vs proprietary nuts? There are multiple issues with using third-party stablecoins. What is your opinion on that? Using USDT or using Send as an example, like based on the ecosystem you're building. Danny, I feel like it's a question for you, but it could be a question for anyone who would like to talk about that and ensure.
For this topic, I've been doing a bit of research and I've actually looked into this for the past 3-4 months. I'm actually for both. So it's not one or the other. And they serve different purposes. And this is where the magic comes in when you use both of them. One of them is for transactions, one of them is for value accrual. And this is where the stable coins actually benefit both people. Again, for instance, when you're raising from a VC, the main jeopardy is not in what type of currency or digital asset you raise on, is the trustworthiness of that VC. Because you can raise on monkey drops and you can still get burned, right? So it's not about the asset, it's about who you're doing business with. Now, the opportunity comes from having a stable side on the game that allows people to actually take the necessary steps without feeling they lose from the get-go. This is one of the things that tokens today actually do. And we learned this the hard way. So I'm not the smartest, brightest person in the room. I just have glasses because I think they're cool, right? But the main behavior people have when they feel they will lose something when using a digital asset is to actually not use it, or to hoard it and then sell it quickly because you have the fluctuation. Now here, if it's not applied correctly, as a project, you lose out that euphoria and volatility the native tokens can bring to a certain project. So we're in Web3. I'm all for servicing Web3 people. Web2 people can just come along when they actually want to understand what is going on. And understand the technology is not for them to know about, which is I'm all for that. But at the same time, you cannot ignore the benefits the blockchain brings. Stable coins and nuts. This is, by the way, this is the new term I found out. So I'm going to use nuts from now on. Yeah, and I'm all for having these two, because for instance, if we're talking about value accrual in the native token, we can use the stable coins via smart contracts when, for instance, payments happen and you have a certain cut of the transaction to just send it toward your token, right? And how do people actually get more value? Well, if you stake, for instance, the SAN token, you get a bit of the pool that is being gathered from those transactions. I'm also in favor for servicing just Web3 people. And by the way, Fred, I hope you will not hate me for it, but I do think we have enough market cap, enough addressable market in Web3. And this the following reason. Would you say Pump Fun is a game or a launchpad, or what is it? And the reason I'm asking this is how people behave on Pump Fun, right? For them, it was just like literal degen fun. And I believe that we're now witnessing the birth of a new type of gamer that was not existent up to this point. Flav, in a previous conversation, we had the, what's it called? The degen casual.
Degen casual game, yeah.
Okay, so this is a new type of thing, right?
Can I just answer your question, Danny? So my background is actually not gaming, it's gambling. So I kind of am a gamer for a long time, very long time, but also been in the gambling space. I actually don't think that Pump.Fun is anything related to games at all. And you will, if you go out in the space, talk with people that play games, they probably don't know what pump.fun is. A lot of them don't trade, don't care about crypto. So I always say this, the Venn diagram between anything in script and crypto that excludes finance and stock and trading is a very small sliver of people, okay? When you mention kind of the volume, the UM and all those things, those are literally trading in crypto terms, or that have nothing to do with games. I having spoken with thousands of founders, when people say to me, oh yeah, we have tons of on-chain transactions, I actually don't think that a lot of those times those things even relate with gameplay. They relate with crypto activity in a game. And I don't hate you for that. Again, my view is my view. Opinions are like hats, to not say something worse. So each one with their own, correct? Just to answer the question that was asked about a third-party token versus a stable coin, correct? I think it needs to go back further, because the question isn't that. The question is, why do you need a blockchain technology in your game? Because what is the value added that you're bringing? Why would you need a token? Being it a state, because a stable coin is just a token, correct? Why would you need a token? And then which token do you need? I think a lot of the questions when I ask that, and that is one of my questions when I talk with founders, why blockchain and why do you need a token? And when I ask the stupid question, hey, why not use a third-party token or a stable coin? They go, oh, well, but that I can't do it because then I can't raise. Okay. So
can I jump in on this?
Of course, you can jump on it.
Because for instance, one of the main things or the main reasons why one can justify having a token is being able to market it and to attract community based on that token, right? If I'm doing, let's say, WAM, right? If I'm raising on Solana, I'm actually at maximum borrowing the prestige of Solana maximum, right? But nothing comes towards WAM, so it's very hard to attract people that stay in, let's say, in the zone of what we're doing. This is one of the first main things. The second would be if it's designed properly, and again, not with VCs in mind, but with the token health in mind, then the value accrual that goes towards the token is basically the marketing that you need to keep going. Also, in a crypto symbiosis, like you have the crypto side and you have the game side, I would not let it be an afterthought. Like, okay, we have the crypto side, but we make the game and then we'll just figure out how the token works, because that usually goes to shit. It breaks stuff, and then you cry in your closet at night and your friends are very pissed, right?
One thing just to make sure, guys, is I do value this conversation because it's not the first time we're having this conversation, and that's why I always love to bring Danny and Fred, because you are the guys to speak your truth, and that's very important because it's not always the case. I do want, for the 3 minutes we have, to just make sure we rely on these topic of stablecoins for the last 3 minutes, because at some point we need to talk about, like, it was a question from the audience, like stablecoins or nuts. I didn't know about nuts neither. It's a good one for me too. But for the we do value having you two, Danny and Fred, to jump on another type of conversation like that. But for the others, like for the 3 minutes we have, what do you feel like we should touch on something else regarding stablecoins? Like, do you have any other take based on what you're building, on what we could say, or maybe also respond to the question as well and give you a view the same way Danny and Fred said? And is anyone would like to jump on it?
Well, can I just add a thing? So that stablecoins, as far as they are adopted by the widespread community in Web3 and other, yes, introduced in the game as a payment or whatever. I have nothing against a native token, as we have seen the Web3 community being not only like here for that token speculative for whatever reason, but some of them get connected as well to the project and to the actual token. So So if it makes sense, we are still building. When I say we, like loads of projects, and one of us will manage to build a stable tokenomics inside of the game. So far, there are some tokenomics that works, so it's good to have examples and then just not copy paste the mistakes. It's not that simple, but it's a hard job to do, and that's like it's exciting to build this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I agree with the 1 minute we have left. It was already, in my mind, a struggle and a kind of challenge to make sure that we value the 1 hour. Doesn't matter how many people we involve. I know that, I know, Phil, that you need to leave. And again, thanks a lot for coming. I know you have another podcast. So again, we're going to talk about, everything you're doing in sports if you want to be involved. But thanks for coming. Thanks, Phil. Go ahead. You have your mic.
Absolute pleasure. Absolutely love the conversation. A lot of value add and a lot of awesome points. So yeah, I appreciate the introduction. Looking forward to the next one. I think we need a round 2, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I agree on that. We definitely need to keep on touching on
That was my
here.
final point. You said it yourself. So I do think maybe in a little bit more structured, but if you have any ideas, by Phil, any one of you who have ideas on the way we should continue the conversation, maybe type into specific aspects of stablecoin, let me know, and I will be happy to do it. In the background, still working on the report and involving some people like yourself, because very interesting takeaways. And yeah, thanks for coming, guys. It was perfect to have you today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Hey, thank you.